So I've tried to introduce myself to most of you, but I haven't gotten to all of you yet. I'm Laurie Huntsman. I work with UDOT, and I am over the Zero Fatalities Outreach Program for the state. So if you have any scheduling issues or questions, I'm the one to contact. I know that all of you have gotten more than enough emails from me. So please just give me a call with any questions that you have. Natalie is with Penn and Powers. Most of you know Natalie. She's been around a little longer than I have.
I'm pretty quiet though, so you may not
have noticed her.
That's no comments.
And Natalie is with Penn and Powers. She is one of our outreach speakers. We have what, 5 of you now? So we can get all around the state. With COVID, our numbers have kind of gone down. We're trying to get those built back up again, get everybody back. We're back live. The Truck Smart, we're bringing trucks again. We're back live. And we want to get those numbers. Before COVID, we were doing about 80% of the schools, and we're just below 50% now. So let's get to 100%, especially now that the parent night is under the state code. It's required now for driver's ed. So we'd love to do your parent nights. Okay, you can do your own if you want, but why not just give us a call? It's easier, right? Easier on everybody. Okay. So those of you who are online, here is Natalie's phone number. If you want to make comments or have questions, go ahead and text her, or you can unmute yourselves and just shout it out, because we're going to have a little bit of a discussion today. So please feel free to join us.
I take matchmaking too.
We can't see the screen.
You can't see the screen?
No.
They can't see the screen. Did you not share the screen?
I would just, it was already going on.
Okay.
Let me quickly take
Let's
it.
see if we can fix it. I will continue to talk. Okay, so I've been with UDOT for 9 years, almost 10 years now, and my first job at UDOT was in traffic and safety, and a big part of my job was just documentation and making files and reports and graphs and tables for the engineers based on fatal crash statistics. And you can imagine that was really depressing. And so I went to my boss and said, I've got to do something.
Those of you online, can you see that
And
now?
so I asked him
Yes.
to kind of be more positive. Awesome. Thanks, Matt. And so we decided that it was time for me to get involved with Zero Fatalities. So I started getting involved trying to get Zero Fatalities into Central and Southern Utah a little bit more, because back then it was mostly up on the Wasatch Front. So I started working with Zero 9 years ago, and 2 years ago I became full-time Zero, which has been awesome. So much more uplifting than doing fatal crash reports all the time. And Nat, how long have you been with Zero?
5 years or so.
5 years. Okay, we all know why Zero is so important, why our outreach program is so important, because we know that one of the #1 causes for death in teens is crashes. And you guys all should know this statistic, that 9% of the drivers on Utah roads are involved in 21% of the crashes. And so it's up to all of us to make sure that this statistic gets changed by what we teach them and the experiences they get. This is a new video that we've got that kind of emphasizes the importance of GDL laws and making sure the parents know what those laws are and that they are enforcing them.
It's a hard situation to have to know you're responsible for something like that. That us as parents made that choice for Kason that day that changed not only his life, but the life of another family drastically. 2 little girls lost their mom.
Previously, we had not allowed him to drive without an adult. That day, it was a homecoming dance, and his group had kind of fallen apart. So we talked back and forth, and we decided to let him drive. All his friends were doing it.
99% of the time, your child's gonna arrive home safely. But I've been the 1%, we've been the 1% where that doesn't happen, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
Never let your kid drive until they're 100% ready, until they have their license. We could have lost everything, and it's not worth the chance.
It's been a little bit spazzy there. All of you seen that video before? Most of you. So it's just a really good video to emphasize the importance of the GDL laws, and that's one that we show at our parent night. Most of you are familiar with our parent night, but I know we've got a lot of new teachers, so I'm going to just review it quickly so you kind of know what we do. A few years ago, we did a survey among parents of teen drivers who had just got their license, and we found out that about 80% of our teen drivers were not driving their 40 hours, and their parents were just signing off their license saying that they had. So 20% were actually getting their drive time in, 40% were not. And so we decided that we needed to do a little bit more with our parent night to emphasize the importance of that parent involvement. And that was one thing that you guys requested in the survey that we did with you, that drive time gets in before they get their license. We all know that the highest chance of a teen crashing is within that first year of them getting their license. So we want to emphasize that parents are key to being involved, knowing the laws, and setting the example. The one thing I ask when I do a parent night is, how many of you want your teen to drive just like you do? And I might get 2 or 3 hands out of a group of 40 or 50 that think they're that good of a driver, but I think most of us could be better examples. And so the parent night really helps the parent understand the importance of that example and what they need to do to be that example. Now, another thing that we learned from our survey is that the parents aren't doing the 40 hours with their teen because A, they are scared, or B, they just really don't know how to teach someone to drive. They know how to drive, but teaching the skills is a different story. And so we have added these CHOP videos, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, the experts in teen driving, and they have made these videos for the parents of teens. If they sit down, watch this 3 or 4 minute video together, then they can set goals. They get to know the common errors that are made with each of those behaviors, and they teach them these behaviors, and then the parent can check them off as they learn the skills before they move on to the next skill. So it's a great way for parents to know how to teach their teen to drive. It's just a really good tutorial for them to do together. If you haven't watched those, take the time to go to our website and watch them. They're awesome. Another way that they can get this information is by texting "ready to drive" to this phone number, and bi-weekly they will get a message reminding them that it's time to teach a new skill, and then we'll show them the videos, and then they can do it that way, and then we'll get that automatic reminder. And then even after they get their license, they'll continue to get reminders of things they need to reinforce once the kid has their license. Yeah.
Can you tie the student? I will be doing teaching for a whole semester this coming year. Can you tie a parent's night into the student's grade?
Most schools do.
Okay, yeah, now that it's required by the state rule, state code, then yes, you definitely can't, they cannot pass the class without a parent night. Whether it's one that you provide or one that we provide.
Yeah, I'm new to this.
Yeah.
So
So awesome. I'm talking like you guys all know what I'm talking about. So I'm glad you're asking questions, because you're probably not the only new person here. Thank you. So after we cover the GDL laws and the parent tips at our parent nights, then we cover the 5 driving behaviors. They used to all be don't. We've changed them in the last year to do, trying to be a little more positive. We take 10, 15 minutes on each of these driving behaviors and emphasize the importance of driving sober, driving alert. Talk about the focused driving and so forth. This is a new video that we've added to our driving focused section. It's pretty impactful. It's a live dash cam.
Play that moment in my head multiple times a day. There wasn't anything I could do. I was out of control. From the time that I looked down at my phone to the time that I looked up, 8 seconds had passed. I never realized how far you travel in 8 seconds.
We'll never get to see our dad again. And it's all because of the 8 seconds that Sam decided to look at his phone.
I thought it would be fine. I thought nothing will happen. During those 8 seconds, the time went by so fast. I traveled a lot farther than I ever thought I would have. I looked up just before I hit the vehicle, and my truck went right on top of his car that he had and pushed him all the way through the intersection. And I got out of the truck as fast as I could, and I ran back to the car. And it sank in fully that it was too late. This can happen to anybody. All it takes is one poor decision.
Every time I hop in my car, I see people driving distracted. And I mean, I just want to stop the person and shake them and tell them, do you have any idea what you're doing right now did to my family? Do you have any idea what that did to my family and what you could do to someone else's?
Same thing over and over again. If you guys have any connections or know of any stories that we maybe could reach out to so that we can continually update our library, we would really appreciate that help. We try during our parent night to mix some of this real life scary stuff with a lot of positive stuff too. We don't want to scare the kids out of driving, but we want them to realize the magnitude of their decision to start driving the car, what comes with that. So we try to balance that really well. And again, we're always up to your input. Please let us know if there's anything that you feel like we could do differently. During our parent night, say we'll get these workbooks. I've handed all of you a workbook. The center section of this workbook is a place for them to take notes, and we encourage them to take notes so that after they leave the parent night, that they'll continue the conversation. We don't want this to be a 1-hour event. We want it to be something that they go home or they go out to dinner and they continue to discuss what they learned. They have conversations so that the expectation of the parent is very clear to the student and that the student understands the expectations of both directions. We want them to have conversations, set rules for their houses, and we really encourage this throughout the entire presentation. Again, that's because of what you guys told us in your survey a couple of years ago, that you wanted to see more parent involvement. So we take a break at the end of each section. We give them some tips that they can write down along with whatever stood out to them in that section, so that they have a starting place for a conversation at home. And we re-emphasize the GDL laws here again with each of the sections. So these are some of the comments that we've gotten. These are unsolicited comments from parents. You can see that they really feel like it's worth their time. A lot of times they come to a parent night not happy to be there, but I'd say 95% of the time they leave glad they came. One of the biggest comments we get is, this should be required for every driver to do every 2 or 3 years. We all need these reminders, let alone what the conversations that it can stimulate with their team. Okay, so if you go to our website, this is how you can find out where the live nights are being held. So if you live in a more metropolitan area and your student can't make it to your parent night, they could go to another school's parent night. So you come to zerofatalities.com, you click on that parent night Truck Smart icon.
This video is a little glitchy for some reason when we put it over on this TV. So bear with the glitchiness. I don't know why it's being weird.
So it shows you the upcoming events, gives the dates in the school where they're going to be held. And then if you continue to scroll down, then we get to our virtual parent nights. Our virtual parent nights were created because of COVID, and the only reason we're keeping them is because of the online only schools. So this is the only way they can really do their parent night. We really encourage the rest of you to go live again, because we know that virtually people really don't pay the same kind of attention that they do live. So, and they can download the booklets for the parent night, and they can actually interact with them on their computers.
Would you rather do smaller groups,
We do
30
this.
to 50, or
It doesn't,
fill an auditorium?
it doesn't matter. We do them both ways.
We
Whatever
go to
works best for
Monticello for
you.
10 students, and we go to Copper Hills for a few hundred.
We'll go anywhere regardless of the number of students you have, whatever makes it easiest for you, whatever works best for you. We also have a presenter that is Spanish, and we can bring him with us to any of your presentations. Just book a second room and let us know you want him to come, and the Spanish students and their parents can go and listen to that presentation. The workbooks are all in Spanish too.
So if you have a big Spanish need in your area, you know that that's available.
Okay, just let us know when you book it so that we can make sure that Martin is available with us that night. We didn't know if any of you, if you all knew that. So a lot of schools combine. So if you're in close proximity, one school will do it this month, the other school will do it the next month. And they take turns and they send all their students that way. That makes it easier. So you're only doing half as many parent nights. We've even talked about maybe like having it at like the Davis Conference Center or the Mountain America Conference Center, where a whole bunch of schools could come at once. If that would make it easier for you, we could set up something like that. But if we do that, we want to make sure we fill those conference centers because it's a little bit cost prohibitive.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on that, though. I mean, how many of you feel like you would use something like that? Is it just easier for you to schedule your own at your own school? Or if there was an option like that, like, would you use that option? If it was like, you know, we set up an event center, anybody can come, not just like a school. Thoughts on that? Would you use that? Would you not use that?
I like her.
Like your own school. That's kind of what we got in our last session is they feel like if the teacher is there making it seem important to them, that was a good thing to do. But we're just trying to brainstorm ideas to make it easier for everybody.
I'd like to invite like our district, we just have 5 high schools, so just invite all 5 high schools at a kind of central area.
Yeah, and we could do that. We could definitely do that if all 5 of your high schools want to do it that way.
What area are you?
Tuella County.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we could do that. Definitely do that. Did you have a question, Wade?
I was just gonna, one thing I do like about the virtual, obviously we went to go that way, but the parents and the kids register, which was nice to know who's there, who made it, that kind of thing. If you go to the face-to-face meetings, typically we would just have them sign in when they come. Is there a different or better way to take roll and just have them sign in?
Is Jesse here?
Each school does it differently, but I mean, Jesse Burrell, he does a QR code.
He has a
actually.
QR code, and as they come in, they just swipe the QR code and then he gets a printout of who was there.
It sounds complicated, but it's really simple. All you do is set it up, and when they scan it, it automatically gives you a list.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, and we can talk to, I know Audra knows how to do it. I know Jesse would be happy to share that with you, how to do it. That's how he does it. Another thing we thought about is the last slide of the night could say, you know, parent night, Cypress High School, May 7th, 2022, and all of them could take a picture of themselves in front of the screen and then email that to you.
Or submit it
Or submit it online or whatever, then that way you could take roll. Or if that will work really nice if maybe they're going to go to Desert Hills instead of Dixie, that because they can't make Dixies, then they could send you that slide, that picture, so that you know that they were really there. Okay.
We also have this back sheet like this, where you fill it out. They were there, they only get the booklet when they're there, and they fill that out, turned it in the next day. We had 85, and I gave it back.
So they turn that sheet.
And it's
Yeah.
it's perforated.
It's perforated, so it tears off that
Yeah,
parent
right on-
contract.
right on the back.
And we give these books to every parent and every student, so they'll still have a copy for home, and they can give the teacher a copy if they want to do it that way. Thank you, Jeff.
Anybody else have any other thoughts they would want to share on that idea?
Okay. We really want the teens and parents to see the parent night as soon in the process as they can, because if that's the first time they learn about those CHOP videos, you want to have time to use them, right? So whatever we can do to get it at the very beginning of your classes rather than at the end of your classes. One of the drawbacks I've seen with the virtual is that I often get an email from a student who says, I'm going to take my driver's test tomorrow. Can you please make sure my teacher knows I was there today so that I can go do that tomorrow still? You don't know how many of those emails I get. And it's kind of, I don't always have an open hour right then to send him proof that he attended. Sometimes I'm at a conference and I'm not in front of my computer. I'm not always in front of my computer on Saturday and Sunday. Very seldom am I. So just any ideas of how we can make this happen sooner in the process? Now, Sevier School District, they require that you go to a parent night before you even sign up to take driver's ed. So when they sign up for driver's ed, they have to show proof that they've been to a parent night. And then they can sign up for the class. They like to do it that way. I had a teacher in the last session say that it's not as personal that way. So she'd rather just do it at the beginning of every one of her classes. I mean, that's up to you. But the sooner they get the class with their parent, the better. Does that make sense? And we've kind of talked about that. And we've kind of talked about that. So the virtual parent nights, we've made the change so that they have to have their cameras on and we have to see the parent and teen in front of the camera. And if they're not two people in front of the camera, then we give them a warning and then we dismiss them if it doesn't change.
So there's a moderator actually looking at all the screens. They cannot see each other. They only see our person presenting. But we have a moderator in there who can see everybody on screen. Like she says, we'll message them, if they're sitting there alone. Hey, you got 3 minutes to get your parent on screen. Otherwise, like, we're going to remove you from the meeting or things like that. So that has to be going on that entire time, or we've removed plenty of
And
students.
once in a while, I'll have someone say, my mom's at work, she's watching on a separate camera, her name is, and we can check that and make sure that she really is watching from work and that they're both participating. Okay, they will only get a certificate if they're online with us for more than 50 minutes. Otherwise, no certificate.
So if they even try and join the meeting 11 minutes in, we'll message them and say, it's not even going to be worth any credit now. So you just find a different night that'll work for you.
Okay, and if they leave early, for some reason, we've had that too, where they leave 15 minutes before they're supposed to, they will not get credit. Okay, we do cap it at 150 attendees because the moderator cannot monitor more than 150 cameras at a time, screens.
But they are pretty entertaining, you know what I mean?
Natalie will tell you a cool experience she had last week. Okay, use the certificate that I sent them as proof that they attended or the list that I send you. Do not ask them, please do not ask them for the presenter's name as proof that they attended, because I get lots and lots of emails saying, I'm sorry, I missed that. Can you tell me the presenter's name? And I say, well, it was on the screen 5 times. If you were paying attention, how did you miss that? I don't really say that.
But it's just simple to
them.
use the certificate or the list.
Yeah, use the certificate or the list. Do not use their a screenshot of the registration as proof that they attended, because literally every virtual presentation, I'm having between 100 and 150 students register and not show up. So if they show you their registration, does not mean they showed up.
We will get emails from students who signed up forwarding the registration to us for some reason saying, here you go. And we'll respond and say, why are you saying this? Oh, sorry, that was supposed to go to my teacher as my assignment.
So we know that's happening. So that's what's being required. Oh, and okay, so another question for you guys is, what if the parent and student are obviously not engaged? How much do you want us to monitor that? We had go ahead, Nat.
We see all sorts. You see people in bed, you see them on the beach, you see them at the kids' dinner table, but then you'll also see, like, last week I had a mom and a daughter, literally just, you could see their phones right here, and they were watching a volleyball game at the school or some sort of sports activity. We've even had people driving while they're watching the webinar. And obviously those ones, I will message them and say, you need to find a time when you're not driving, like, sorry, find another time. But then the people who are just blatantly obviously not paying attention at a volleyball game or doing who knows what, it's like, we've been having that discussion of, how much do we insert ourselves? Like, honestly, a lot of them on there really are paying attention, and it's not like we're really micromanaging, like, oh, you can tell they're not looking, but it's like they're just some, like I said, the volleyball games you can blatantly see, okay, you are clearly not paying attention to the parent. Now you're both there, but so we love your opinions if you think that should be a situation that we should say, hey, you guys are clearly not paying attention, maybe find a night that you can actually watch it, or if we don't insert ourselves and just call it how it is. Any thoughts on that? Opinions? We'd love to hear it. This is your program just as much as it is ours.
Kick them out.
fine.
If it's obvious.
I mean, that's our, and only if it's obvious, right? You know, if they're sitting there, you know, at home, whatever, great, but if they're clearly, you know, in a line at Disneyland or something, you know, it's like,
We literally had a mother and her daughter in their bathing suits on the beach, but they were paying
they were paying
attention.
attention.
They were paying attention.
They were paying attention.
Watching it.
I, believe it or not, had a teenager the other day driving on a parent night.
Yeah, obviously not with.
And now we see why this is so important.
It's
How do
crazy.
how do you handle if there's multiple students learning in the same household? I had one try to contact me that one student got credit and the others didn't. Do you have them register separate?
Or when they register, use both names.
So it
No,
could
if
just
there's
say
twins,
like
like-
Bob and Barb level, and then the certificate level, it's one of these both.
Yeah, when they register, use both names, or they can email me and let me know, and then I'll make a separate certificate.
We
for the
started
other
to
ones.
sell separate certificates.
I can produce a certificate that isn't automatically produced. Okay, so when they register, because this is a Zoom program, we cannot change what they ask for registration. So we make very clear instructions that we want the student's name and the parent's email. And the reason we want the student's name is because that's what's printed on the certificate. And the reason we want the parent's email is because if the student uses their student email, they may not get the registration email with the link. A lot of schools block Zoom and they won't get their certificate because their schools block Zoom. So that's why we're asking for a parent email, student name. You just reinforce that when you're telling them about the virtual, reinforce that so that they get that right. Because I get lots of emails saying, you put my name on the certificate, not my students. And I want to say, well, how do I know what your student's name is? If you didn't use it to register, I have no idea what your student's name is. They don't even give you their student's name when they actually change it to their student's name sometimes, so. Come on. So this is what the this is what the registration looks like. Don't accept that as credit.
So that we'll have students email us that. Here's my registration email. Okay, did you actually show up even?
And this is what the certificate looks like. So if you see this, you know that they attended for at least 50 minutes. This is just
Quick
a,
question, Lori.
Uh-huh.
Are you down to like four of those virtual meetings a month?
we do one a week,
1 a week.
one per week. And it's every other month, it's Monday, then Thursday, then Monday, then Thursday, so that they have a little bit of a different option. And literally, I get emails every time we have a presentation saying, I can't register, it won't let me register. Well,
Like
that's
the
because-
day of.
The day of, an hour before. We have to cap it. So that, because how many screens do you have like this that you have to screen between?
Usually between 6 and 8.
So you can see how hard it would be to watch this and keep track of everything that's going on.
Is that a tractor?
One of the drivers ed teachers is actually in one of those up there with.
Yeah,
their
David
child.
Fletcher was down there in the corner of that one. So this is what our moderator has to watch, and she's got. One night there was 11 screens because that was before we capped it because people had signed up before we switched the way we do it. So you can see how hard that is for them. You can see how engaged some of them are and are not. So again, that's why we really like the live. Okay, back in October, I believe it was October 10th, the state code was rewritten to require a parent night. So in order for them to get a license now, they have to attend a parent night. So yes, you can require it. Yes, it can be part of their grade.
It needs to be actually being part of the state code.
Yeah. We still have our teen memoriam assignment. We've got the new teen memoriam. We've got some here. We've got some out on our tables if you don't already have some for a classroom set, or you can find them all online.
How many of you are familiar with or use this assignment online? Quite a few, okay.
Okay, for those of you that are new, it's stories of teens who lost their lives in Utah, on Utah roads. It's their parents giving their story. And the assignment basically says what driving behavior was, caused this crash. How could it maybe have been done differently? What would you do differently? What rules would you set in your car so this wouldn't happen? stuff like that. Just kind of reinforces that conscious effort to be a better driver.
For those of you who aren't using the Team MEMORIAM assignment, it's great too, because they plug in their email and your email, and you'll get emailed the assignment. So then you can plug it in however you want that way, but it's nice just because it automatically gets emailed to you.
I get all of those too, and I looked at some of them. The other day I looked at one and it said, so how did this story impact you? And the answer was, it didn't. I didn't read it.
Oh, gosh.
Most of them are thought out answers.
Most of them are, but every once in a while. Okay, right now we're working on a winter driving course with DPS. It's going to be coming soon that you can add to your curriculum if you would like to.
It'll be all online.
It'll be online like the Team MEMORIAM.
Desert Hills and Hurricane, you're really gonna need to make sure you do that course.
Yeah. Every 7 years.
Yeah.
we do.
We also have the seatbelt video assignment that we made for our pre-drivers, but it's a really great video if you want to use it. Those kids weren't in middle school when it was being used in middle schools.
And same thing, you'll get emailed the assignment, just like the Team MEMORIAM works.
And we are currently working on an assignment like that for our preteen course on speeding. It's an awesome story about a young man who actually was a race car driver from the time he was 3 that was speeding on the streets and was killed in an accident. I say accident today. I never say accident. Was killed in a crash because of speeding on the street. And his parents' story is pretty awesome. That one should be coming in the next month. So we have this pilot program that we're starting right now. It's a pre-driver presentation that we're hoping to get into the 8th grade health classes. They have a requirement for traffic safety in those courses. So it would be similar to a parent night or a truck smart where we come live and we talk to the students. We will hand out this brochure, which tells them about the CHOP videos. It tells them about the things that they need to do in order to get a license, what documentation they will need. We talk about seat belts. We're going to talk about speeding. We're going to do some activities about switch tasking as opposed to multitasking. And so they'll get a lot of this information just before they turn 15. And so we would really, really, really love your help in getting us into those health classes. If you have a connection at the middle school with a health teacher or a counselor or whatever, we would love to be able to get into those classes so that they're getting this information before they ever get their license.
Or even just the brochures. A lot of high schools where they were having the teachers or the counselors hand out these brochures of freshman orientation and things. You know, we just hear from a lot of teachers that you'll start driving with a student and you can tell within 2 minutes that they haven't driven a minute with their parents, right? And it's like, wouldn't you love to prevent that? So we're trying to hit them sooner to help them, you know, get some of this information in front of both them and their parents, to have these discussions, to start learning these things and like really get drive hours. So we're trying to get this process started before they even get to you. That's kind of our goal with that. So if you do have any connections, like she said, whether for either the flyers or the class, we'd love to get into that.
Thank you, Natalie. And we are going to start our peer-to-peer program again, our Don't Drive Stupid program. So if your school is interested in that, it's usually run by the student council or some other student group where they come up with contests and different things to help promote traffic safety within your high school.
How many of you remember Don't Drive Stupid? You'll be in your day. Everybody here will see a bunch of smirks on your face. Yeah, so if your school is interested, let us know. We'll be bringing that back.
And we will be giving them money for prizes and different things with that program. Also, coming in the next week or two, we have a drive time tracker that they can put on their phone and keep track of their driving hours.
Now, it is not an app. It's a website. So they do it from either their desktop or their phone, but it's not an app. We have to be clear on that.
So keep track of the hours. You just put in, you know, how many hours you were in the car, where you were going, whatnot. Oh, I didn't mean to go past it that fast. So that's one way that they'll have, you know, that phone with them to keep track of those hours. A little bit easier for them, might help them out. You're welcome to tell them about that. And
Awesome. We'll just spend a few minutes talking about truck smart. You guys are a quieter group. How many of you are currently doing parent nights? Whether in person or online? Good. Does anybody have any feedback of how we can even make these easier for you? Whether you currently have them or whether you're not doing them, and well, hey, this is the reason why. Any thoughts on anything with that? You guys are ready for lunch, aren't you? Just like, yeah. All right, let's talk a few minutes about Truck Smart. How many of you guys are currently using Truck Smart, whether online or in person? Okay, handful of you. So Truck Smart is a program under Zero Fatalities. Here in Utah, we actually have more semi-trucks on our roads than any other state in the country. So motor carriers under UDOT, they actually started this program, and it's been a few years now, and we're in quite a few schools because of this, trying to hit our brand new drivers so they know how to drive around the big rigs. So we actually partner with trucking companies. Those of you who have had us come, you've seen this, we bring a truck, we park cars in the blind spots, we have students, get in the truck and see what they can see and see what disappears. And we take the entire classroom, some of it outside of the truck, some of it in the classroom. But it's just, the students don't realize how big these trucks are. They don't even realize that, hey, the truck driver can't see me there, or wow, he needs way more space than that or these things. And so it's typically a very engaging presentation in classroom for them. When we can't get a truck, we've actually started using VR headsets. So if anybody wants to see this, we'll probably have a few minutes after. We've got some in the back or some at our booth. But these are awesome because we're getting into so many schools that the trucking industry, no surprise, is having a little bit of a hard time keeping up with us. We need those trucks out there, right? But when we can't get a truck, or when there's just a reason that a school can't have a truck come to their school, we have these headsets. So we usually bring about a half of the classroom set. And instead of going out to the truck, they'll see the same thing on these headsets. It's about a 5-minute video. And if you want to see, like I said, we have headsets here. It's really pretty cool to have kind of a good backup option for these big rigs. I mean, nothing really replaces seeing the full-blown semi at the school and getting in it, but this is a great backup option. So we did also update the Truck Smart presentation. Those of you who have seen the parent night recently, we updated that about, like Marty said, last summer, last fall. The Truck Smart presentation, we also updated in the past, 2-3 weeks we started actually launching this. This is brand new. It's got a lot of great graphics. It's got a lot of great videos. Those of you who have been using Truck Smart, you're familiar with a couple of the rules we have. This is one of them. Many of you, I'm sure, recognize. Can't see me, can't see you. Well, we've actually created 4 rules to cover all of it. So instead of just 2 rules and some random info, now there's 4 set rules. So we've got the first one, can't see me, can't see you, going over blind spots. This is one of our newer ones for turning. So there's an actual rule for it. Trucks turning, stay back to stay safe. Number 3, this is another new one. For space, trucks need space no matter the placement. It's a good visual, just showing, really how much, like where the no zone is in front of them and how much space before passing. And then here's the other one. I'm sure this has been around the longest, the 2 lights in the mirror, steer clear. So it's really good because it's 4 simple tips. And we actually have wall boards outside too. Those of you that love to hang up wall boards in your classroom, you can get a classroom set of all 4 of these out there. So feel free to grab those, or we can bring them next time we come to your classroom. Here's a simple video. This is from our online modules. We'll talk about those in just a second. But this is a good clip from the modules that kind of shows what we talk about in both. A piece of the modules and some of this, we also show the exact same visuals in the presentation. So let's just watch a little clip.
Last time we talked about the difference between trucks and passenger cars on the road. Now we'll get into how you should drive when you're around big rigs. Trucks don't have rear view mirrors on their windshields. They rely fully on their side mirrors. In bad weather, those mirrors could be blurry, foggy, or just plain useless. See the car? How about now? In bad conditions, if you're not using your headlights, your car can be invisible to truck drivers. Have you ever heard of no zones? They're the 4 large blind spots all around a semi-tractor and trailer where truck drivers have limited or no visibility. This driver can't see any vehicles in his mirrors. But this is what could potentially be around his truck and trailer. As a driver, you need to know when you're in one of these 4 blind spots. The right side no zone is the largest of these blind spots and extends up to 3 lanes from the truck. This is why you should always avoid passing trucks on their right side. Drivers that are in these 4 no zones contribute to most of our state's truck-related crashes. Stay out of a truck's blind spots whenever possible. So, how can you tell if you're in a no zone when you're driving? Follow this rule. If you can't see the truck driver's face in their side mirrors, they can't see you. To drive safely around semi-trucks, you need to see the driver's face and be able to make eye contact with them. Next up, tailgating and drafting. Driving too closely behind the back of a truck's trailer is dangerous. It's illegal, and it's not going to help you save on gas. A truck's rear blind spot extends as far back as 200 feet behind it. That's about 2/3 the length of a football field. See this car? If you're driving in the same spot behind a truck trailer, you're too close. Just because there's a space behind a truck doesn't mean that your car should be there. Give trucks in front of you plenty of space. Snowplows have the same blind spots as semi-trucks, even if it seems like they don't. Sure, they may be shorter than a truck and trailer, but snowplows spray salt and sand behind them while pushing snow and slush that's sometimes higher than your car. If their lights are on and their blades are down, never pass a snowplow. Always leave them space to clear the roads for you. This is what happens when you try to pass a snowplow. It's not a pretty sight. Be careful how you drive when you're around big rigs.
Like I said, that's a piece pulled directly from the online modules, but many of those graphics and videos we have in the in-person, the drone shots, the water footage, all those types of things. So it's just a lot of good visually stimulating things. Now, those of you who are online, okay, obviously you probably don't have an option for a semi-truck to come to your class. But like I said, these modules. So if you go to our website, trucksmart.utah.gov, if you go to the How Truck Smart Are You, there's a physical paper quiz that you can print and use as an assignment. We actually like to use it to have them take home and use with their parents to, again, get that conversation going further. Many teachers will use that as an extra credit assignment or just as a regular assignment. But if you go there, there's the regular one, but then there's also right here, you can see View Truck Smart course. So this is the online module program of the in-person presentation. Now, it's really simple to register. So when you go to the How Truck Smart Are You page, you'll click on this down here, the View Truck Smart course, and they do have to register because this is how it saves their score for you. So, and like I said, for some reason our screen recordings are a little glitchy on this TV, but when they register, I mean, again, same thing, we recommend not using their school email just because then nothing will get blocked. But they'll just set up an email and a password. I mean, they really shouldn't have a need to remember it if they're just gonna do the assignment right there. It shouldn't be too big of a deal because it's just a one-time thing. But they'll set that up, put in their email, put in their password, register, and then it should bring them just right to the front page there. When they do that, super simple. All they do is click on go to the course or start course, whatever that says, and you'll see the 5 modules. Now it's designed so they have to complete one module before they move on to the next. And each module is just super simple. It's a short video clip like you just saw, a question in between, and then at the end is actually the same questions that are on that paper quiz. And again, same thing, when they put in your correct email and their correct email, it'll email you the score, same kind of way like that. Or they can even, the same thing, print something out or put a little screenshot with it. In fact, I think we have a certificate on this now too, don't we? Yeah, when they complete the same thing, there will be a certificate and a PDF that they can, again, if it's on Canvas, they can just submit that on Canvas or something. But this is a really great, simple assignment for you if you're doing online that you don't have to facilitate, that all these great resources are just on there right for you. So here's Laurie's email for those of you that need to schedule or contact Laurie. Again, Laurie's right over here. That's lhuntsman@utah.gov. Are there any questions we can answer about if you have any questions maybe for your school specifically, or why you would or wouldn't do something a certain way, or any comments? You guys are a little bit of a quieter group. Jeff's back there ready for lunch. Yes, please.
What's the minimum time that we will need to schedule?
Parent nights are 1 hour.
But in advance though, I mean,
Oh.
it just, I don't know which one you were asking, but if it was in advance, we prefer, what do you usually prefer, 2 to 3 weeks?
At least 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah, we usually schedule our presenters out a month ahead of time. And the more we get, the harder it is to find a night if you wait that long. I have a lot that are already scheduled through June of 2023. They've given me their whole year schedule already and they're on the schedule.
So the sooner the better, like she said, just if you wait till the last minute, there are times we can make it work, but there are times where it's like, man, we are already at 4 schools by night or something. So anyways, good question. Any other questions we could answer? Feel free to grab some wall if you want to hang around and see the VR video. It's about 5 minutes. I'm happy to set that up for you. It doesn't take very long. If nobody has any questions, we'll let you go get ready for lunch. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your support.